Hi there, it's Jonny Miller from Point Blank Online Music School, back once more to show you some cool little tricks with Ableton Live 8 and sounds and samples from clickproduce.com. Today I'm putting together a little down-tempo, R&B, hip-hop, whatever you want to call it, track. And I've got some really cool samples and MIDI files to use for this by way of this Smash Up the Studio Cool Keys R&B 3 pack I've picked up recently. And what I like about this particular pack is that we get two main folders. We get construction kits, which we'll look at in a moment, and we'll get loops. And in the loops folder, we've just got a series of different pads, pianos, Rhodes, good little starting blocks, nice and simple, not too many of them. So we've got 5 basses, 5 guitars, in fact more than that guitars, we've got 10 guitars, 5 pads, 5 pianos, etc, etc. So they're just good little starting blocks. We've also got the MIDI files to go with all those loops. Now, what I like about this kit, this particular pack, is that we have both. We have the audio and the MIDI. And if I go to kit 2, in fact, let's double click in here, we've got the WAV files. Let me close this down so we can see WAV files and the MIDI for both. And this is really useful because let's say I like this Rhodes loop here. What I can do is load that into Session View and then load the MIDI file for that loop as well. And maybe layer that Rhodes loop with, I don't know, a pad or something. So let's go to Live Devices, and I'm inside the synth pad folder here of analog. There's one in here that I really like, a preset I really like called Filter Down. So I'm going to take this Filter Down preset and just drop that onto the MIDI track. So that Kit 2 Rhodes MIDI file is now going to trigger analog. So let's play the Rhodes. And if I stop that clip and play the analog, this is nice because I can now just maybe take the octave value down on the pad, maybe bring it down a bit in volume. Let's turn that LFO off as well, that's affecting panning. So now I've got a nice kind of deep layer for the Rhodes. Let's play them both together. So this is a nice quick way to take samples, to take loops and take their original parts, the original notes that were used to make up that loop and assign them to another instrument. Very, very useful. I've also got in here an 808 beat as well. This is just a little beat that I've made using Impulse and some 808 samples. On this particular loop, I've used a lot of quite heavy velocity to create a nice kind of up and down pattern with the hi-hats. And the other thing I've done on this particular Impulse kit is add overdrive. And sometimes when you're working with 808 samples, it seems to lack something in the middle. They seem to be quite light in the mid-range, the sounds. So what I've done here is use overdrive and use the filter on overdrive just to kind of home in on the mid-range sounds. So around, you know, just under 2K, I've got the drive quite low, the dynamics up, which is the compression amount, and the wet dry at about 30%. And if I A/B this, if I turn the overdrive off, you'll hear, so this is the original samples, and they're nice and rich in the bottom end, but we seem to have a bit of a hole in the middle. So I've added that extra mid-range now with the overdrive. Along with showing you the setup of this set, I want to show you a cool little trick where you can reverse audio to create a kind of ghostly reversed intro effect on a loop. What I've done, I've taken the Rhodes loop I was just looking at and loaded it into Arrange View, and I'm just going to highlight some of the clip and get rid of it. So I've just got a smaller region to work with here. Now if I hit Command L on my keyboard, I'll be able to wrap the left and right locators, the loop braces it's called in Ableton, around that loop. Nice and quick. I've also put the drums in there. I'll play those in a moment. What I'm going to do quickly, just play this loop. So we've just got 2 chords basically. And I'm going to separate those chords just by hitting Command E, placing the cursor midway through, and I'm going to color code these as well. I'm going to give this one a darker grey color. Now I'm going to click on audio track number 2 and duplicate it, so Command D. So we've got 2 of the same thing. And with these clips, I'm just going to reverse them. So I've got the 2 chords, but I'm just going to have reversed versions of them. So I'm going to go into the clip, and just on the left hand side we've got a little rev button in sample properties that will just reverse that audio. And now I'm just going to switch the order around so that each chord, its reversed version, plays first, like so. So we have the first chord, and then the second chord reverses in, second chord, first chord reverses in, and we get this. And this is quite a nice way to, if you want a kind of ambient, slightly ambient texture to your keys, instead of just playing the chords the way that they come, if it's a MIDI part, you could use freeze flatten and turn everything into audio, and then do this, reverse it, copy the track, reverse it down, so that you have a reverse version of the same thing. But the order is really important to get this, especially in this little loop here, 2-bar loop. Now, the other thing I was going to do to this is, instead of just leaving it like that, if I go into fades, and this is just in the device chooser in Ableton on each track, if I just click on fades, what I can now do is go in and shape this reverse play a little bit more. If I bring the edge of the clip in as well, I'll shorten the region that's actually going to play, and that's going to give me more kind of shaping capabilities here. So instead of having the whole chord reversing, I've just got a little bit of it, and it just means that we can hear more of this tail from the original straight chord, and the reverse that we get is actually quite short. And it's just a bit neater, where the reverse isn't playing for quite so long and kind of overlapping with the forward version of the loop. Now what we could do here, if I put the beat on, is start playing around with making little edits on the audio. So for instance here, if I take the snare in the 808 drums lands on beat 3, there it is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the audio out from this first Rhodes chord where the snare plays. I'm literally just going to highlight the audio, hit backspace. Let's listen to this now. And what we'll get is a kind of clipped effect. The Rhodes chord will just stop when the snare plays, and that adds a bit of extra impact to the snare. This is quite a good technique, not just in R&B and hip hop, but in dubstep too. I'll do the same thing on the second snare actually. So now we've got just shorter chords, but the reverses are kind of leading in. This actually gives the reverse a little bit more space too. Now what would be really nice, let's get 2 of these reverses. This will sound quite cool. If I just hit Command E again, in fact no, I don't need to hit Command E even, I can just pick up that little bit of audio and copy it back, and again just put the fade in. There we go. So now we've got kind of 2 of the same thing, and we get this effect. Now this technique of taking reverses and making edits and using 2 of the same thing, it could be used in dubstep if you had a WAV file of a bass part. If you had like a wobble bass, an LFO bass part as audio, you can use this effect to create some really nice kind of cuts and edits. I'm using it here on this Rhodes to create a kind of rhythmic reversed effect to lead in to the first chord. Let's actually copy that MIDI over as well. So now I just use the duplicate function on the MIDI clip. And sometimes, you know, your edits, when you edit the audio and you come up with ideas, that can then steer you in how you set up your drum programming. So there, that idea of taking the reverse Rhodes, making a copy and having 2 of them play, kind of led me to think, all right, well, I'll double up the drums as well and get that nice double snare effect at the end of this second bar. Okay, you can learn loads of cool stuff like this at pointblankonline.net, and I'll be back again next week to show you some more little cool tricks with Ableton Live 8 and sounds and samples from the very good people at clickproduce.com. Okay, peace.